I think he should have been suspended. I think Adam should have suspended him.
I'm on set. 50,000 on my head is disrespect.
Welcome to the Dark Times channel. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and do so. I'm also going to post a link to my other channels as well. So please go ahead and feel free to check those channels out and subscribe to those as well. So let's go ahead and get right into it. You all know the situation, or you all should be well aware of the situation with Kyrie Irving, Kanye West, and everything else that's been going on in the media within this past week or so. And so in the scriptures, it tells us not to be a respecter of persons. And basically what that is saying is that we should not put people on a pedestal. And that's exactly what athletes and black entertainers are paid to do. They're paid to be put on a pedestal, not just by black Americans, but by the entire globe. These black athletes, as well as these black entertainers, are put on the highest of highest pedestals within the United States, and they're circulated around the world. And a lot of people will look at these entertainers, rappers, athletes, and think that they're being paid for their talents, and celebrities, especially when it comes to singing, because nobody sings anymore. It's all auto-tune. So your favorite rapper, your favorite singer, the next person or the next step down from them, I guarantee you is just as good, if not better. So we have to ask ourselves, why are they in a position to make a certain amount of money and be put on this pedestal versus somebody who is just as talented as them? And the reason being is for situations just like this. When one of these pawns or celebrities, actors / entertainers gets out of line, you have a LeBron James, you have a Charles Barkley, you have a Shannon Sharp, you have a Shaquille O'Neal, and a plethora of other black entertainers to check them and to get them back in line. All of these individuals that are on television, and not just actors and entertainers, it goes as deep as politics. It goes as deep as business and Fortune 500 companies. All of these individuals, all of these so-called black individuals that are in a position of power, all of them have been vetted, and not vetted in a conspiratorial sort of a way as far as individuals that want to harm black society. Maybe some, but I'm not even going that deep. And I'm just speaking from a common sense point of view. So stay with me for a little bit. You know, sometimes we don't even need to get that deep with it. Sometimes it's really just a common sense. It's not about evil. It's not about good. It's not about bad. It's about reality. And the reality of the situation is that we are not in a position of power. And because we're not in a position of power, the individuals that are put in a position of power, and I'll say a position of power with quotations, because it's really not a position of power. It's the illusion of a position of power, because the individuals that are put there are definitely vetted, and they're not vetted on as far as like being evil or being a sellout or anything like that. Not at least a sellout in the terms of wanting to harm black society or wanting to harm black people. A sellout in the point where they're going to do and say anything that they are told to do when it comes down to it, because it all comes down to a paycheck for them. That's all they concern themselves with. And most people are like that. I would say most people that are not conscious are like that. So it's really not a black or a white thing when we ask ourselves, man, we got so many sellouts. Everybody has sellouts. Every group, every race, every nationality, every religion, whatever the case may be, everybody has sellouts. The only difference when it comes to so-called black people within the United States or globally, the only difference is that when we sell out, it harms our community more than any other group. There's so-called white people speaking up on behalf of black people and speaking up on behalf of people that are mistreated in this country all the time. And I would say that would be a so-called sellout for the white community.
Jane Elliott, thank you so much for joining us here on The Arena. And for our viewers who aren't as familiar as Coach is, talk to us about the Blue Eyes, Brown Eyes experience and what you know from the years of how it's been able to translate and work.
You see, we set ourselves up to fail during the Spanish Inquisition, because the Spanish Inquisition was when they decided that people were either white or black. There were no black people at that time. There were no white people at that time. You look at me and you can see the color of my hair and you can see the color of my shirt. Both my shirt and my hair are white. My skin isn't. There are no white people on the face of the earth except in Tanzania, where there is a large group of people who are albinos. You need to realize that those two words were deliberately chosen to set us against one another. White represents good and black represents evil. In every book, in every Western movie, in every poem, you need to realize that they...
But the only difference is, because they're in a position of power, it's not harming their community in the least, because they're speaking up and they're speaking out about particular issues that are never going to change as long as the power structure is intact. And so there's only so much that they can say or do to actually really have an impact. So when they get so-called black actors or black entertainers to speak out against one another, man, they really do the most. Not only do they have to condemn what an individual is saying, they have to dismiss it.
Skip, I believe you can be pro-black without being anti-this. You don't have to be a Semite, and you don't have to be anti-white.
Absolutely.
And you don't have to, because sometimes I think the thing is that if I promote this, that means I hate that. And I don't want people to think that. But Kyrie Irving is the wrong messenger. If somebody else wants to deliver this message and can deliver it in a nice box to get people to understand and to sit down at down at the table, and we can have an honest conversation about what happened, what is. Okay, I'm fine. Kyrie Irving is just not the guy I want to hear from.
And so that's disingenuous, to say the least. You know, Shannon Sharpe is well aware that Kyrie Irving did not come out to promote anything in particular. He simply shared a documentary on his Twitter account. All Kyrie Irving did was share a link that was up on Amazon for anybody and everybody to see, and it still is. And actually, before everything went down, you could rent that documentary, or you could buy that documentary for $3.99. And so somebody tell me why that same documentary is for rent for $11.99 right now. And if you want to purchase it, I believe it's $50 right now. So what's really going on? And Shannon Sharpe knows what time it is. Kyrie Irving was not trying to deliver a message. He was trying to get people to listen to the messenger. And like I said, Shannon Sharpe knows what he's doing. They have these meetings and production meetings before they start these sports shows, and they know exactly what they're going to do. So you get these big burly bedbugs like Shannon Sharpe and Shaq to go ahead and deliver the message that is coming from the power structure. And Charles Barkley and Shaq and Shannon Sharpe have so many different business ventures that are intertwined within the power structures that too. But it's comparable in this sense. Back on the plantations, they used to get the biggest and baddest black man that they could find, and they would try to break him. I won't say try, they would break him in front of everybody else. And I'm not going to get too graphic, but most of you all know what I'm talking about. By any means necessary, they would humiliate him, they would torture him, and they would break him in front of everybody else. And so instead of doing it physically nowadays through torture and other means, now they just do it with a dollar bill. Instead of breaking them with the whip, they break them figuratively now with the dollar bill. I believe Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal just got a brand new contract with TNT like just a few months ago. And so they're going to be on TNT for at least another decade, promoting anything that the powers that be want them to promote or want them to condemn. That's what they're going to be doing for the next decade. And that's why they're paid to do so.
I try to make people happy. I try to make people smile. My formula has always been the same: 60% to make you laugh, 30% to inspire you, and 10% whatever I'm selling.
Spoken like a bitch. So when he says he wants to make people happy, he's basically saying he's paid to make people happy. That's what he's in essence saying. That statement right there is a major problem. There's no way you should be in your 50s. You're a millionaire, multimillionaire, damn near a billionaire, and your goal is to make people happy. People's happiness should be a byproduct of you being a stand-up dude or a stand-up individual, standing on truth, standing for something. There's an old saying that it says, friend to everybody, friend to none. And that's exactly what a lot of these guys on television are, is they're acting like they're a friend to everybody, but in reality, they're a friend to nobody. And the only thing they serve is money. You have your Kevin Harts and Dwayne Johnsons and Shaquille O'Neal. Individuals like this, they've always rubbed me the wrong way. And so those kind of personalities, like I said, they've always kind of rubbed me the wrong way because I've always kind of saw through that. You know, a lot of stuff is up in the air, as it always seems to be. With the new black media, it's going to be very interesting to fast forward 10, 20 years from now and to see the effect that the new black media is going to have on our youth. And it is what it is for this generation right now, and this generation of broadcasters and black entertainers that are on television. You know, it's pretty much a wrap. You know, and I'll throw the likes of Jalen Rose, who tries to do what he can when he can. In my point of view, you know, he's always been a solid dude, and he's always been his own man within media for the most part. So I'll give him his credit. But outside of that, there's really not too many. You know, shout out to Jalen Rose. You know, he just got the proverbial whip the other day. He tried to speak out for the former coach of the Boston Celtics, Udoka, who was recently suspended or fired from his team for having an alleged affair with one of his coworkers. And Jalen Rose was on TV just the other day, was talking about, hey, we know Udoka's part in it. We know his name. How come we don't know the female's name in this part? No, basically he was saying it takes two to have a workplace affair. How come we don't know her name? And I posted a video of it the other day. And if you look in that panel, you know, everybody's eyes was bucking. And they were all like, what is you doing? You's gonna get us in trouble. And sure enough, I think it was like 10 minutes later, they had a script for him. And Jalen Rose looked like a hostage. He looked like a hostage reading that teleprompter. I am Jalen Rose, and I would like to apologize for the harmful words that I said. You know, it was that kind of party. You know, and so I can't knock Jalen for that. Most people wouldn't have done that. If I was in the same position that Jalen Rose was in, I probably wouldn't even have taken it that far because I know what the outcome would have been. These guys on ESPN or TNT or whatever platform is, they're being paid to give their point of view on sports matters. And so I really don't expect any of these guys to necessarily speak out or speak up on political or personal issues. But at the very least, don't disrespect your brother. Don't disrespect your sister when it comes to them. For the most part, that's what Jalen Rose does. He's always been a solid dude. At the very least, you can count on him not to go against his brother or his sister. And that's all we really want when it comes to these people on television. And so it's going to be very interesting to see what kind of effect that the new black media is going to have on the up and coming personalities that are on television. And so I think that's going to be a good spot to go ahead and close it out. And as usual, peace and chaos.